ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲದಿ semestre que sea yo tú toca alguien ahí tú
ini assignment group assignment ಇದರ ಗನ್ ಹಾಕುವ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಗನ್ನ ಬಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಇವೆ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. ඇත්තට මම අදාළ මේ අන්තිම ලෙක්චර් එක කරා. ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් කරා 2016. Was there going to be the semester will be ended on 26th. Therefore, this is the last session. So what I will do is, there are some parts we have left actually. The operational risk we can't complete, but in the examination I'm not going to ask that question, but I will just teach you what is the course of framework and how you need to address those sort of questioning. The exam will ask some question in the recipe. I have incorporated that part in this PowerPoint as well. So basically we have completed the introductory part and we have discussed about the types of the risk, right? Categories, strategic risk and operations. So today we are going to discuss about the ERM, right? Enterprise risk management, right? So when it comes to your assignment, you process I have already published the schedule. You will see the schedule, right? I have given the allocated times as well. There is a separate column presentation date. So under that column, you can see the schedule, right? So I have allocated 20 minutes for each group, right? So every group members needs to be certain before 30 minutes before the allocated time, right? And for the online people, I have allocated the last time slots for the online people because if I'm taking the online at the middle, so sometimes it's going well. So therefore, I will take it to the last, and others they have allocated from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we are having presentations. Right? Is it okay? Any questions? Any concerns? Yes. Well coordinated. Any questions? No. All good. Yeah. Yes. Online guys. Any questions? Anybody hear me? Yes, can you all hear me? Online people? Right. Yes, any questions? You are in the result. All good? Your concern, you can drop me on this email, right? Yes. No. Right. And for your examination, right, I have uploaded some questions, practice questions. Right. And also today I will discuss one classroom test, which is very similar to your examination question. Right. So what we have to do is do these questions. Right. So before the examination, I will upload the answers. Definitely, okay. I should definitely upload the answers for those questions. And don't worry. It's not like MCQs. But what you have to do is you need to attempt those questions, right? In doing so, individually or any method. And when we are doing this question, I'm asking some questions from the strategic risks, right? So this time I'm not going to test the strategic risks because we don't have much time to discuss that. Right? So from the strategic risks, I'm not going to ask questions. But from the operational risk and the ER, basically I'm asking the question and also the introductory part of the risk management. Right? So three questions for the risk management will be coming from the ERA, introductory part from the risk management, and the types of risk and the operations. Basically the course of trade. Right. So these are the three questions that can be asked in your examination. So I'm not going to ask questions from the strategies. Please note that. Right. What? So if you are like, we can discuss the practice question in the online session. If you only able to do that, then I'm going to have to online session. Like, we can discuss the work division. Like, over request around over. Shashinika request card is over arrange for the coordinate is online request karana request आता है तो हमारे arrange कर देना होगा next week within next week होगा right अब आपका 26 वाली कौन से वार की ना के August 3rd ना ब्लैक में वाला आप ये पूरा ये बहुत क्वेश्चन रिवीजन करता है तो August 3rd की वाली July well I have to get the August 3rd for the next batch full day because I have missed 2 lectures in that batch. Yes, can do. We can get past the time practice if you like for it, right? Right? Online there will can be online इतने करना तो बहुत टाइम भी नहीं सा, right? It's physical करना तो बहुत online session नहीं करो ओके ना मतलब है ठीक है ओके बेसिकली ना उधर आता है पॉलिसी करती ना online करना है कि ना तो बेसिकली नहीं हो रहा है online करने का होता है इसका लेक्चर तो एक से एक रिक्वेस्ट कर लो वाले का ना एक ओके भाई हम वो रिक्वेस्ट करना है सब बैच कोड की तरह जो रिक्वेस्ट करो हाँ हम वो रिक्वेस्ट करना है ना ये भी ना एक्टिव करना कोई पॉसिबल नहीं है कि तो रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ रिक्वेस्ट कर मतलब तो अरेंज कर दूँगा क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस कर देना भी संपूर्ण क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस नो ब्रेक आल्सो ये ब्रेक right. So I'm coming to the enterprise risk management, right? So I hope basically you are having some sort of idea because you are doing the assignment nowadays, right? So you know what is the meaning of the enterprise risk management. And enterprise is what? What do you mean by enterprise? What is the difference between the business and the enterprise? Enterprise and business. Same. What's the difference? Enterprise means a company. So what is the difference between the company and business? Only operations. Enterprise. Only. What is the difference between, let's say, company and enterprise? It's the same. It's the same. There's no difference. So. Okay, all the businesses. Yes, correct. Right. So when it comes to business, right? For the company, right? We only focus on few areas, but when it comes to enterprise, right? Like we have different business units in the enterprise, like HR, marketing, right? And also after sales services, right? And also not related to the business, also some sort of IT technical things, right? All these are coming from in the enterprise, right? So therefore, we can't say business risk management. Right? So that is what we are using the enterprise risk management. So because when it comes to risk management in the companies, right, we need to manage the risk in the enterprise, not in the business. Business එකේ risk management අපි operation එකේ risk management. අපි enterprise එකේ මොනු because the company name ඇතුළේ තියෙන හැම කොටසකටම තියෙන risk එකම manage කරනවා. That is why we are using the name as enterprise risk management. Right. So what do you mean by the enterprise? An enterprise is a general term for project or undertaking, but it is most likely used for business such as company. Hence, there are upside risks in which a business can do better than the expected, and downside risks in which sometimes goes badly for the business. So that is what we are doing in the enterprise risk management. So we are looking at the upside risk and the downside risk, the risk management. Risk management එකේ කරන්නේ අපි risk එක manage කරනවා කියන අපි අපිට තියෙන අවදානම නැති කරන එක නෙමෙයි. අපි බලනවා අපිට අවදානයෙන් ගන්න පුළුවන් මොනවද opportunities. What are the opportunities we can take from the what is upside risk? And what are the threats we are facing to the downside risk? So that's what we are going to do in the enterprise risk management. So when it comes to enterprise risk management, it says the holistic alignment and integration of risk management into the development and implementation of organizational strategy so that it is embedded throughout the organization culture and therefore becomes an integral part. So this is very important. Becomes an integral part of the organization activity and strategic, tactical, operational levels. So enterprise risk management should be an integral part. Right? It's not a kind of isolated thing. අනිවාර්යයෙන් මේක අපේ හැම level එකකටම ඇතුළත් වෙලා තියෙන integral part. අපි strategic decisions make කරද්දී, tactical decisions කරද්දී, operational decisions කරද්දී අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම risk management එක use කරගන්න enterprise risk management use. So therefore it's an integral part of every aspect of the organization basically. So what are the benefits of having ER? So this is a question in your explanation. So I'm not going to directly ask what's the benefits, right? I will show you how I'm going to ask that question, right? In a one way, right? But you have to understand what I'm asking, right? So basically the benefits of enterprise, why we need to have an ER? I have the enterprise risk management order. Yes. The first one is promotes great awareness of the scale and diversity of risk facing the organization. One of the objectives is the awareness. Then උදාහරණයක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම අපි දන්නේ නැත්නම් යම් කිසි දෙයක්. ඒක වෙනවා කියලා අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අපි දන්නේ නැහැ මේක හොරකමක්. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ ආච්චිල සීයල එහෙම යම් කිසි පොලිටිෂියන් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවනේ. අදහරින් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. right. So ඒගොල්ලෝගේ මතය තියෙන්නේ මෙයා හොරකම් කරලා හරි පාර හදලා තියෙනවා අපිට යන්නේ. right. So ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ පාර හදන්න කොච්චර cost එකක් නේද? මේකෙන් කොච්චර හොරකම් කරලා තියෙනවා. Because they don't know, they don't have the awareness about the cost, how people are doing the cost. So if you are aware only, you can identify there's a fraud is happening. So likewise, when it comes to risk, the risk awareness is the key. When it comes to ER. So that is why we are revealing in the annual report as well. So awareness, we need to promote the awareness. How to scale. What's the size of the risk? What's the location of the risk? How the diversify risk of facing the organization. And significant improvement in risk identification and subsequent proactive risk management. Right. Right. It is significant to identify or improve the risk identification part. So because when it comes to risk management process, we are discussing if you are not identifying the risk, that is the biggest risk. Through the ER, so improve the risk identification part. right? And also, you need to look at the subsequent proactive risk management approaches, right? Ensure that the directors, managers, and employees are all aware of the risk responsibilities. Right? That is very important. Even though you identify the risk, the mama company risk identify කරලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි මම දන්නේ මම ඒකට වල් කියන්නේ. Right? මම දන්නේ මම ඒකට වල් කියන්නේ. Right? Risk responsibility කරනවා. Right? So then maybe මොකද අල්ලස් කොමිසම මොකද කරන්නේ? මේසස් අල්ලස් කොමිසම දැන් මම අද උදේදී මම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් හැමදාම උදේ මම සාමාන්‍ය පැයක වගේ travel කරනවා. ඒකට මම සාමාන්‍ය news දාගෙන ඉතින් අහනවා අපි news එක දාමු උදේ දාගෙන අද උදේ වඩාම රාජසේනාරත්න report එකක් කරලා එයාව දැන් ඉඳලා දාන්න. And he's saying that එයා එක සයිට් කරේ ලංකාවට benefit එකක් වෙන හින්දා ඒක සයිට් කරනවා. කොරියන් ගාපෙලින් මොකක්ද පිච් කේස් එක. එතකොට ඒකෙන් මොකක්ද? එයා දන්නේ නැහැ එයාගේ responsibility. Right? His responsibility දන්නේ. මොකක්ද එයාගේ responsibility? Site point is your company overload. Right? If the people are not knowing about the responsibilities, right? So they don't know. This is my responsibility. Right? So through the ERF, we are pointing out the responsibility. Right? We are pointing out the responsibilities of the individuals. Ensure that directors, managers, employees are all aware of their risk responsibility. So that is one benefit of ERF. So the late covers what we are discussing here is the ERF. Right? Enterprise risk management. So basically, I told before that, basically I discussed about your paper. Right? Your paper. So if you want to have a kind of practice question, discussion, so we can arrange to online. So that I will discuss with your coordinator. So to your coordinator, you can send me a request. And also, the paper, I'm not going to test the strategies. Right? I'm only testing the risk management course that is the introductory part and the ERA and also the types of things and the corporate. Right. So I'm in the discussion of the ERA. So basically I'm discussing about the benefits of the ERA. Right. ERA is enterprise risk management. Right. And the fourth point, improve the quality and the robustness of the decisions due to comprehensive risk assessment. Right? Right? Because when it comes to ERM, right? If you review the ERM system in a company, right? You can see they have used some assessment methods like heat maps, right? Risk maps, right? Some companies are using qualitative approach, right? Likewise, different approaches they have used to assess the risk. So through the ERM, they are revealing those things. So that is kind of a benefit to improve your quality of risk assessment. Right. Provide reasonable assurance for the broad range of stakeholders, especially the shareholders. So this is one of the most important part of the ERM. Through the ERM, right, we are providing some assurance to the shareholders, the existing shareholders as well as for the potential shareholders, right? Because we are investing to get the future benefits, right? So when you are looking at the future benefits, the risk is one of the important things, right? Now the investment tax risk against the employer risk, right? It is another annual report taking reveal. So again, after the company को risk manage So future risk එක ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද manage කරන්නේ? කොහොමද ඒගොල්ලෝ identify කරලා තියෙනවා හරියට. දැන් ඔයා දන්නවා මේ company එකට මෙන්න මේ වගේ risk එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි business එකේ identify කරලා නැත්නම් ඔයා දන්නවා මේ business එකේ ඔයා invest කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ කියලා. Even though this company is performing very well in the current situation. Right? If that company is not handling that potential risk is coming up in the future, right? As a kind of a good investor, you are not going to invest. So that is why the non-financial things are very important, like ERF. And improve legal, regulatory, and the reporting powers. right? So sometimes there are some legal requirements, the regulatory requirements you have to report the risk management, so to speak. So those are the benefits of having enterprise risk management, right? Enterprise risk management. Right. So next question is, who is the responsible party to prepare this or to look at this enterprise risk management? How to make it responsible? How to responsible? Company का ERM framework है, तो how to responsible? Who are the responsible party? Basically, so you can see the board of directors, obviously, right? The board of directors is responsible for establishing comprehensive risk management governance structure, including risk management committee, and deploying sufficient financial and human resources and ensuring that the control environment successfully embedded risk awareness into organizational culture while engaging in proactive risk management and risk reporting to key stakeholders. Right. So that is the responsibility of the board regards to the enterprise risk management. What they are doing? Board of directors are working. Board of directors like a private objective strategic direction. Right? When it comes to enterprise risk management also, what they are providing? They are providing the strategic direction for risk management. Right? What they are doing? Establishing comprehensive risk management governance structure. Right? And so governance structure means basically you can have a risk management committee within your board. Right? And deploy sufficient financial and human resources. Like enterprise risk management lesson has one. Right? ඒකට අවශ්‍ය සම්පත් නැත්නම් කොට human resource එක නැත්නම් or risk manage කරන්න බෑ. You are saying that we are going to implement the 5 CCTV cameras, but you don't have one. So therefore, the board of directors' role is to provide that resources, basically financial and human resources, right? And ensure that the control environment successfully embedded the risk awareness into the organizational culture. That is very important. So this we will discuss in the course of framework as well. Even though we have a good risk management policy in our company, if you don't have a culture, risk aware culture, you can't perform the risk management. මිනිස්සු දන්නේ නැත්නම් මේක තමයි හොරකම කියන්නේ. මේක තමයි රිස්ක් එක කියන්නේ. මේක තමයි අවදානම් කියන්නේ. ඔයා කොච්චර රිස්ක් මැනේජ්මන්ට් පොලිසි එකක් දානවද වඩා. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට මම කම්පියුටර් එකේ ඉන්ටර්නෙට් ගිහින් රයිට් කම්පැනි එකේ කම්පියුටර් එකේ ඉන්ටර්නෙට් ගිහිල්ලා වෙන සයිට්ස් වලට යනවා. අපි දන්නේ ඒක IT රිස්ක් එකක්. You don't have the awareness. Right? Facebook can. It's a risk to the company. So you are using the official email to log into the social media. Right. So likewise, you need to create the risk aware culture. That is also the role of the board of directors when it comes to enterprise risk management. Right. Right. Examination, I want how the enterprise risk management is responsible. Right. So you need to find right. Right. Basically, board of directors, what they are responsible, they are looking at the risk management governance structure, right? Deploying the financial and the human resources, the risk management, and also creating the risk aware culture within the organization. So many technical issues. Online people, you can hear me, guys. They go local.
Hello.
Right. Right. The second person is the chief risk officer. Right. So in most of the PLC company, Sri Lanka also, right, we are having the compliance of the risk officer. Right. So risk officer is one of the major person who is looking at this risk management. Right. So most of the people in the organization think that the responsibility of the risk management is only with the risk officer or the compliance officer. The organization එක ගොඩක් කටි ඉඳන්නේ risk management එක නම් risk එක තමයි risk committee එකයි risk officer තමයි බලන්නේ. But when it's come to risk officer, right, he is actually performing kind of a major role. But other people also having a kind of a responsibility, right? So that's why it says that everyone in the organization has accountability for the risk management. Right. So when I'm looking at the chief risk officer, right? So it is performing an important role in supporting the board risk responsibilities, including developing the risk management strategies and policies. So basically, when it comes to the board of directors, right? So they don't have the much knowledge about risk management, right? So all the guidelines, all the policies, strategies are provided by the risk manager to the board. So what board are doing? So they only approve it. Right. After reviewing that, then they will approve that. The preparation part is done by the risk officer, right? So the basically the ERM system of the company is designed by the risk officer, right? Risk officer. Risk management strategies and the policies implementing risk indicators like early warning systems, allocating resources based on the risk, and managing the compliance, legal, and industry specific aspects of the risk management. So all these things are done by the risk officer. So basically, the primary responsible person for the risk management is yes, the risk officer. Right. Right. Risk officer අතේ තමයි වැඩේ තියෙන්නේ. risk management. හැබැයි ඒකල risk officer තනියෙන් ඉන්න බෑ. He need to have the help from the board of directors and also everyone in the organization. And the next one is the audit committee, right? So when it comes to the audit committee, they are basically looking at the risk related to the processes, right? Right, like when you are mostly the audit committee focus on the financial statements and the processes, internal controls, right? But when it comes to enterprise risk management, we basically discuss all the units of the organization, not only the financial and not only the processes. That's why we are talking. It has a ER framework, right? So audit committee also performing a kind of a significant role by overseeing the risk management process, including reviewing the process by which the entity's significant risks are identified and ensure that the board of directors is fully apprised of these risks. And more importantly, everyone in the organization has a kind of accountability when it comes to the risk management. Even though you are an employee, even though you are a lower level manager, middle level manager, like you are having a kind of accountability regarding the risk management. Right? So answer would be, who is the responsibility for the risk management? Everyone has a kind of accountability. But these three people, or these three individuals, or the committees, or the boards, are more responsible towards the risk management. Right? Clear? Right. So then the enterprise risk management framework. Right. So when it comes to enterprise risk management framework, right? So one of the famous enterprise risk management framework is a COSO framework. Right? COSO framework, integrating strategies and performance. COSO ERM framework developed by the COSO, a jointly initiative formed in the United States by 5 private sector organizations to combat corporate frauds. And also we are having ISO 31,000-2018 risk management guidelines, which is developed by the International Organization for Standardization. Your syllabus are not actually this also they are in the when it comes to the organizations, right? When you are reviewing the organization, you can see this, they have followed this one as well. Right. But I'm not going to discuss this one because it's more towards to the standardization. Right. So therefore I'm only taking cost of paper. Right. But when you are doing the assignment, it is okay to go with this ISO 31,000. That's also fine because that's also using by the companies. And they are developing the ERM system. The ERM system they are developing go on you need to follow a framework. Company eකට risk identify කරගෙන හරි. හැබැයි ඒකට method එකක් තියෙනවා. process එක follow කරන්න ඕනේ. framework එකක් තියෙනවා. නැත්නම් මම කියන්නේ කැමති risk එක manage කරන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් ERM එක හදන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා අපිට පිළිගත්ත frameworks දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි COSO framework. අනිත් එක ISO 31000 framework. right? ඔයගොල්ලෝ review කරද්දී ඒගොල්ලෝ mention කරලා ඇති ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද follow කරපු framework එක කියලා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ reports කරලාදී ERM framework එක කියලා දෙනවා. අපි use කරේ මෙන්න මේ 31000 framework. right? ගොඩක් Sri Lankan companies they are using ISO 31000 because they are using the COSO framework in the operations. Right. To cover up the operation risks part also I'm taking this COSO framework. And then both of the areas will be covered. Right. Right. So COSO ERM framework, enterprise risk management framework. Right. So you can see, right. So when it comes to this framework, right. So what is our primary objective? adding value. Right? We call it as value creation. It has the value. Right? Then comes the demo. How to take any account? Google account and chart account. Now, and the whole level of the external market give you one. What it can make the financial statement for the nigger. Right? Company के finance करते budget ते करा देने. भाई how to get the role chart account के role. But now it moves towards the value creation. So your role, if you have chart account, your role is to pay the value to the company. One value create. Even though you are preparing the financial statement, how we pay the value to the company. And some value to the company. Because our primary objective is to enhance the value of the company. That means enhance the shareholders. Right. So when it comes to the enterprise risk management, the primary objective is clear, enhance the value. So what we are going to start, the starting point is the vision, and the core values of the company. अभी सामान्य कंपनी का स्ट्रेटजी का डेवलप करना निकालो ERM क्या स्ट्रेटजी का एंटरप्राइज रिस्क मैनेजमेंट क्या है स्ट्रेटजिकल राइट इसके का मैनेज करना भी स्ट्रेटजीज मोनो यूज करना so before going to implement the strategical initiatives what we are doing we are looking at our mission and the vision now वो लोग सर्टिफिकेट डिक्लेयर करना कि केवल तीर नहीं करे एक स्ट्रेटजिकल इंप्लीमेंटेशन ऑर्गेनाइजिंग ये तो कई बार के इंप्लीमेंट करे बट ये लोग मिशन देगा राइट वाह ग्रेजुएट वाला वाह स्टार्ट करूंगा चार्ट करूंगा कंपनी और टेक्निकल सीईओ को कनेक्ट करके दैट इज ऑल बट विजन राइट द फ्यूचर गोल right? And also you have the mission to get a degree, right? Get an MBA. So based on that, you are implementing your strategies to follow the charter and the sub-campus degree, right? So likewise, when it comes to companies also, they are having different missions and missions. So based on that mission only, you will develop this strategies. And maybe mission का पालन करते हुए, अपनी strategy साथ लगा दिया बाकी कंपनी के विजन ने का तमानी अकाउंट तो फुल ने बाकी को करके चार्टर देखिए विजन को बोलो चार्टर के ऊपर दुनिया है तेरी चार्टर के रजिस्टर करना दिए वो भी दे दो नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दुनिया है चार्टर non-profit organization. Now the BSAA company or private limited company, it's a non-profit organization, right? So they are collecting the money and they are using that money for the benefits of the students and the members. And then they will look at it, right? You have no one then they are saying, "Oh, objective." And you go look at your objectives, right? Our London or sponsorship sale there or school level future chartered accountants again and lunch or what if there to be able to have that workshop about it. सामान्य वर्ग सदस्य उम्मीद करता है आवाम लेक्चर के नेता सामने लक्ष्य कर कर हमें वो बच्चे से उत्तर देना है एक मानस दाग लक्ष्य कर कर है तो मुझे लगता है बाकी यार वो पेन नहीं तुम्हारा अगर उसमें एग्जाम में फेल कर रही नंबर में बताओ फेल कर तो एक मैंने ना मुक्तावा में बस मैं भी लेना तो अपने साथ लेके भाई मैं भी लेना तो नहीं अपने साथ लेके वो इसकी तरह की समझ पा ले आता देखो अकाउंटिंग का ने एक प्रेस्टिजियस क्वालिफिकेशन एक करता बस वो तो और तरह के बड़े करना अच्छा वो क्वालिफिकेशन है क्या कोई ऐसा लेके करते हैं right एरिया कवर ये सब फेल है जब हम वो तो वैल्यू करते थे and Lanka decrease again about decrease value again that is why we got a kind of invitation to the job body degree क्या हुआ invitation नहीं करना job पे degree का दिन पर भी लोग job पे जाते हैं और skill लेके तो मैं बोल पा रहा have a chartered as professional qualification. Somewhat chartered accountant kill. Degree holding kill. Chartered accountant. Degree get invite in the Kataka one of them. In the book. They had chartered a failure. That's what make. Book over fail class, failure. Other is the way failure. They failed and other is not. If one failed, another is not. Now, papers volunteer about there and I have to fail. So they get limit. The out the chart and all part of the now. But then, out of the Hanga paid the chart. Mama, Yane, what with the numbers can get numbers. Membership numbers. Out the pass. That is the chart. They can have one that level of that. Say, I would not have to come in. You today. So, now I'm back to the top young boy. Bakal dari jalan sektor luar bisnis saya tu, saliwan dia jadi lagi qualification dengan tidak value kita. Anik kita mana cara accountancy ni ada, ini kan, mungkin ada. Marka paling yang kamu tahu kita mana, ini tidak kan. So you need to work hard. Ini kata apa sih puri? Malah nak ambil dari mana? Dari mana kita ambil orang? Skill advice skill develop करना है वाला सब दे हम डिग्री का स्टेक प्रोफेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन है पता है तो because of the last year clear this right so you will professional qualification dengan itu Israel yang berapa management pandan है साली दिन रात दिन ना कापक नहीं शुरू करने के लिए बिजनेस है तो ये तो साली दिन रात दिन ना इकरेगा इकरेगा दिन रात दिन बड़ा नहीं Mereka tiga negara tu, saling dibuatkan atau tidak. Like professional qualification yang tu baru develop, baru part kan. Kita ada yang beruang, PR kan beruang, direct PR kan tu saling kita kan. MBA kan tu macam beruang. MBA kalau ada kita Australia itu lagi PR kan, और बात इधर और एक बेकारी और ये वाले गलत चाल देखो ये को होते हैं तो ऑटो काम में पीआर का और तो बाकी मतलब ऐसा गोल लेके दिया गया ना नहीं डिग्री वगैरह में करते रहते नहीं आप लोग वगैरह चार दिन वगैरह करते बुलवाता है क्वालिफिकेशंस का और ये नहीं सा एक्सपीरियंस लेकर आता है स्किल लेकर आता है so coming to the vision and mission then based on the vision they are developing the strategies. The strategies developed. Then you will develop the business objective. Business objective formulations. For example, my vision is to make my company one of the best company in Sri Lanka. That is my vision. To go to that vision, right? So one of the objective of business is what? Enhance my profitability, enhance my market share. Right. So that is my business objective. Right. So then based on the business objective, we need to implement this business objective for four. To get the market share, we can go to the amalgamations, we can go to the acquisitions. Right. Right. So through that, what we can do, if you are achieving the business objectives, what we can do? We can finally enhance the value of the organization. For example, now I wish I take a company, software company can take a world. So, the business objectives are like, profitability ka adigar, market share ka adigar. Take a moment, companies, salute ka that the market capture. Market capture my company. So, my company valuations. That's a simple example. Right. So this is what we are doing in the business. Right. So how the enterprise risk management is coming up with this? So this is the enterprise. Not only the process. So this is the enterprise. अभी business से manage करना है, enterprise से किसके manage करना? Not only the business, not only the operations, every aspects in the business we are going to manage. That's why we are telling it as enterprise risk management, not business risk management. Enterprise risk management. Right. So when it comes to these areas, we need to look at risk of each areas. For example, when you are going to develop the strategies, there may be some risk. Right. For example, you are going to develop a strategy that you are going to develop a strategy like to have a new product. Right. So you are going to launch a new product. So when you are going to launch a new product, right? So there are some risk can be involved. Right. Now, hardware you launch product concerns, safety concerns, right? Compliance deal, regulatory compliance deal, regulations deal, like this. Right. So in each aspect, right, you have this. Right. So that is why we need to have the enterprise risk management. Right. So when it comes to the enterprise risk management, we need to look at governance and culture, strategic and objective setting, performance, review and revision, information, communication, and reporting. Right. So this is what we call it as course of framework. Right. When we course of framework, right. On our detail over again, right? For the political governance and culture. So what do you mean by the governance and culture? Governance and culture. In the course of framework, what we call it as governance and culture, we call it as control environment. Right. So this is the environment we can control the governance and culture of the organization. Right. So before going to manage the risk, what we need to do first, we need to create a good governance structure and a good culture, risk aware culture. Right. We call it as control environment. Right. Governance and culture. Then, secondly, after creating a good culture, good governance system, what we can do. So now my company is having good culture, so risk aware culture, and the governance structure is very good. Now everything is fine. Then, what we can do? Strategy and objective setting. Right. Strategy and objective setting. What do you mean by that? Strategy and objective setting. So now I'm going to set the objectives and the strategies. Right. In the course of framework, we call it as risk assessments. Right. By assessing the risk, we are going to set the strategies and objectives. Then we culture governance structure then we strategies objectives objectives risk assess on the objectives for the strategies right. Then after setting this, what we can do? We can perform. Right. We can perform. Right. We can perform. Right. We can perform. So when we are performing, right, what we need to do? We need to communicate it. Right. Then one awareness again, then what strategies, objectives, and the first thing, where aware. Risk awareness can be done in two ways: external awareness and the internal awareness. Or we call it as external reporting and the internal reporting. Right. So we report what we are doing. Communicate. And lastly, what we have to do? Monitor. Right. Review and take the revision or the revision you have to make. Right. If there's any kind of deviations are there, you need to make some predictions after reading. Right, monitoring. Right, monitoring. Right, monitoring. Right, monitoring. So based on these procedures, you need to build up your ERS framework. That's what they call ERS framework. Right, only for ERS framework, you know, it's allowed to company governance culture. Right, culture. Here was the part of company objectives, strategies, because they are on the perform. They are performing on the risk management. They are performing risk tolerance. They are all management. So, अभी risk को manage करने के लिए अनेक तरह की चीजें हैं. You need to inform. एक तो यार annual report को review कराना. Annual report को पेज लगी ना. मेरा वाली medium risk, मेरा वाली high risk. फिर मेरा तो अपने risk. मेरा तो भाई अपने risk response. एक बहुत जरूरी है. अभी strategy के लिए आती है. अभी manage करने के लिए manage करने के लिए ये बस है very well there is a volatile financial token financial meaning realize तर मोनोहरी वेनसी को मोनोहरी रिविजन ने का पावर मोनोहरी जैसे बहुत अभी को मुझे रिव्यू करला अभी करेक्ट कर मोनोहरी का एक्शंस रिव्यू एंड रिविजन बेसिकली monitoring part. So the methodology of Pahatamai would have allowed the ERM framework enterprise risk framework company has facility. Right. Over the ERM framework right? They categorize they will follow the approach to make. They will explain the culture. Right? So you know strategies for the risk management process identify the risk model. Here are report the one of the deviation cover. Take a response for that. So this is how they are built the ERM. Right? Clear? Well, I'm not reporting you guys make clear. Right? Right? So I'm coming to this key component. Governance and culture, governance and organization toward reinforcing the importance of and establishing the oversight responsibilities for the enterprise risk management. Culture pertains to ethical values, diverse behavior, and understanding of risk in the entity. You can see creating culture and the governance system. And the strategies and objective enterprise risk management strategies and objective settings work together in the strategical planning process. Right? Strategical planning process के लिए अभी बालन होने strategic शिक्षा का एक राधा रिस्क का एक बोलूँगी एक दम निकाल board of meeting के बाद ये तो अभी कंपनी का आउटपुट प्रोडक्ट है लॉन्च करना होने ये क्यों को बोलनी तो अपने पहले प्रोडक्ट है लॉन्च करना so you need to look at the risk what kind of risk we have do we have the sufficient financial so financial assets or the financial or the resources basically if we are not having so that sort of resources what we can what we will have that's a kind of risk to us that's why we start right what do you think of this here overloads have campus getting bigger this that the start to do it so kind of risk करती है ना बेचारा यूरोप का क्या हुआ है risk करती है presentations around the English dia tu ada jadi pintu kita juga. Kuis tu kalau sih, orang lain. Ber? Max deadline. Max deadline. Max deadline apa ya? Exam. Exam benar semester sebelum tu. Max tu. Wah, kanti memang nanti. Mereka betul nanti. Lalu, mana yang betul lalu? Ada mereka betul nanti. Mereka mana nanti? කොහොමද විශ්ේ කරනකොට මාක්සින් වන්දේ මේ පැත්ත අයිනේ අපි කොහොමද පාරේ වේදෝද කියලා ඇතිලා කඩාගෙන ඉන්නේ විශ්ේ පාරේ වේදනාවක් පාරේ යවෝද විශ්ේ විශ්ේ ඉදුමත් ඒ කියන්නේ දෙන්නේ කියලා මේක දෙන්නේ අජෙන් කරලා වයි හදලා කියලා ඉකලමෙන් මොන මම දන්නේ වේලම දෙන්න ඉන්නවද කියලා. ඉකලමෙන් මොන කෝල් කරලා කිව්වස මම දන්නේ නැතුව මේ කොහොම ස්කිප් කරලා ගිහලා දැන් වඩ යන්න බෑ. මම සතිය 8ක් තිස්සේ මම කිව්වා. සතිය 8ක් තිස්සේ මම කිව්වා මේක කරන්න එපා කරන්නේ. මොකද කරන්නේ කියලා. ඒක කරන්නේ 14ක් ස්කිප් කරලා ගියා මොකද දන්නේ පිටිපස්ස දැන්න. ඒක කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මම කොච්චර කිව්වොත් අනිවාර්යෙන් කවුරු හරි පිළිත් කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ මම ක්ලාස් එකේ කිව්වා මම ක්ලාස් ආවේ නැහැ සර් ලෙක්චර්ස්. මම කෝ LMS එක දාලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම දාලා නැහැ. මම කියවන්නේ. ඒක කියවුවොත් අවුදා. යමුත් ඒක දැන් ESC මාක්ස් දුන්නාට පස්සේ ආපහු එනවා. දැන් මම උනට සෙට් එකක් දැම්මම ඒතර යාර මතක් වෙන්නේ අරගේ මාක්ස් ආවම. Vamos a ver que se puede organizar Kita memang kali dalam dia saya mau juga yang besok tak upload kan itu dia tak kilo ini masalahnya dalam kita kalau pilih mas dia right then performance risk that may impact the achievement of strategies and business objectives need to be identified and assessed. Risks are prioritized by in the context of risk appetite. The organization then select risk responses and takes portfolio views of amounts of risk it has achieved. The results of this process are reported to the key risk stakeholders. Right. And review and revision by reviewing entirely the performance, an organization can consider how well the enterprise risk management component have functioned over time and in light of substantial changes and what revisions are needed. Right. And the information, communication, and reporting enterprise risk management requires continual process of updating and sharing necessary information from both internal and external sources, which goes out down and across the organization. Right. Right. So this framework, this key component you need to follow when you're building up an ERM framework for your company. Right. So that's what I need to highlight. Right. So let us come to the organizations in the entity level. Right. The entity level means what? Entity level. The company operational level like entity level. Right. The financial risk, operational risk, compliance risk, and customer risk. So basically we have discussed this one. What do you mean by the financial risk? What are the financial risk mean? Company this financial risk. So based on you, what is the financial risk? Go ahead. For an example, liquidity. Okay. Liquidity is what? Your background. Right. Basically, you can't pay the capital capital. Is for good pay. Or the long payment. Financial risk. The company is in a financial risk. And the operational risk. Operational risk. What do you mean by operations? Based on the bank. Based on let's take campus as an example. What is the operations? A few questions. Let's just operations. So basically, not supply chain. Let's say kind of supply chain. This option. They are not supply. Right. Operations. Operations correct and the back. That's the operations. Right. And the compliance risk. What is it by compliance? So when it comes to example, they will need to adhere with the what? UGC guidelines. UGC guidelines and then we apply with the government. අපිට ගන්න UGC එකේ මොකද අපි UGC කියලා දැන් තමයි. අපි චාර්ටර් එකේ නිකන් චාර්ටර් එකේ කියන්නේ legal මොකක්ද legal development නිකන් UGC මොකද ඒක මොඩි එක guideline කරගන්න. So what will happen? You create some compliance system. So the UGC කියනවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ ටික එක වැඩි නැහැ. පිළිගන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒක ඔයගොල්ලෝ පොලිසිය දෙනවා මේ. එතන නිවුස් එකේ උන්නේ මොකද කියන්නේ? සබ් කැම්පස් එකේ ඩිග්‍රී එක UGC පිළිගන්න. ඒක මොකද? Okay. Example like that. Then the customer, there is some campus, but the customers. Who are the customers? The extra customers. Okay. So what is the risk? Must you get clear? Yes. Yes, customer risk. One is dollars pay. Customers are not pay. Right? Basically, we have the credit checks. Then we are not going to pay. Customers are not going to pay. Then next one. To achieve the expenses, the customers are not coming out for decision. So we can't make profit. Customers like that. So those are the customer risks, right? So likewise, in a version paper also, right? If I give a case study, and if I'm asked you to identify the different types of risk in the entity level, right? So you need to pick, right? You need to highlight, right? So then this is also there in your examination, the Tara framework that I have discussed, I think, in last session, right? Tara framework, and this is very common framework, right? The Tara framework, right? Tara means what? Tara is Tara is coming out like this, TARA, right? T for transferring a risk to another party. T for transferring risk to another party. Right? कोई कोई वाला होता है ट्रांसफर करना रिस्क है फिर ट्रांसफरिंग ऑफ रिस्क नारा करना वेरी दार बोलता तो भी देखो तो वो ट्रांसफर करना तो कर तो देख so what is the situation? What are the situations where we can transfer the risk? Insurance. That is a better transferring. I'm asking what are the situations? There is all this is from the American life. Then the regular transfer is very yellow transfer. So business model is transfer.
कंट्रोल करना कैपेसिटी का मध्य करना
Capacity model. In other words, something analyze the big group.
कंपनी का कंपनी का करना
Practically, they have transfer. Hey, transfer. Factor was Aragan Berega. Impact එක වැඩි නම් තමයි අපි අවශ්‍ය. Impact එක වැඩි. හැබැයි likelihood එක අඩු වෙනවා. Likelihood එක වැඩි නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Likelihood එක වැඩි නම් කවුරුත් කැමති නැහැ පාර කරන්න. Right. Likelihood එක වැඩි නම් ඒ risk එක පාර කරන්න කවුරුත් කැමති වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So what are the risks we can transfer? The risk which has kind of a less likelihood and the impact is high. When the possibility card, by system mode, impact event. Finally, it never given that. Given negative, other given possibility, but you know what they impact. Then here transfer. Transferring out to the insurance. One method is insurance. Right. What is the other method? We can transfer this. Insurance is what? How? That's very good. Yes. We can increase the debt finance. That's very good. Very good. That's a kind of standard answer. Actually, expecting. Insurance is a common thing. Right? When it comes to business, when it comes to financial management, right? What we can do? We can increase the debt finance. Because debt finance is more beneficial. The reason is this. I benefit very literally. When I got a benefit, you know, if I don't, I got a budget. I have a power. I have a bonus. Again, I have a whole day after a pull on level. The Tarakan pull on level. And I will not get a bonus. Yeah, it's already on Bitcoin. Facility coming out of the I don't give salary is not for Bitcoin. And when it's come to tax also, we get deduct interest. And also when you are, let's say, you're bankrupt. You're going to bankrupt. So what you have to do? What you can do? Right. So therefore, it's more beneficial. So one way to transfer the risk is you can leverage your company. Right. You can go with that. Debt finance. Then next one, the Tara framework, T for transferring, A for acceptance. Acceptance or tolerate of the risk of a risk. Right. Tolerate or accept risk. Right. Well, tolerate and accept the risk. Tolerate what? Naraga of already risk governor. අපේ තියෙන resources වලින් අපි ඒක hold කරගෙන අපි impact එක වෙන්න බෑ. අපි accept කරන්න මොන වගේ risk? අපේ impact එකක් අඩු. The impact is less and also likelihood also. If it is happen, the impact is less and the happening possibility also it is. Then only we accept. අපිට හානිය අඩු එක තමයි accept කරන්න tolerate. Right? Then reduction or mitigation of risk. The Tara framework is R. So in an exam paper, I'm asking to apply this Tara framework. Right? To apply this Tara framework. So you need to know the Tara framework. What do you mean by the reduction? What are the risks we can reduce? And how? So when you're first looking at the likelihood and the impact. Impact is low. Likelihood is high. Okay. What we can do? To the internal controls, we can reduce. So we can control. So we can mitigate. That's it. So what are the examples? Progress. Yes. Progress. What do you mean by progress? What are the progress scheme?
Kind of manipulation. Manipulation
of financial assets. Even the money or any other assets. Right? That's a fraud risk. Right? So how we can mitigate the, how we can reduce the fraud risk? So if it happens, the impact is very high. Right? Impact is very high. Right? So what we can do? We can use the internal controls. Right? Internal controls. Right? The like the sub campus overall attendance on but you can either exam so then they pass in failure. In the airport, to reduce that, what we can do, we can have the internal controls reduction. Then last, avoidance of the termination of a risk. Avoid the termination. What is it by termination? Now we are ignoring that. Right? So because of the current situation, I'm not stopping. Termination. Now what happened also now? After they come around, what are the situations you can avoid? Firstly, they are looking at the likelihood and the impact. If it is likelihood is high, and impact is high. Then what are the maybe they can't get on if you need to connect, you know what was it? Right? Because impact is high, likelihood also high. So let's say you are doing a business with another company in East Coast. Right. Right. So now, with the current situation, do you want to maintain the business? What you can do? You can terminate. And because the likelihood and the impact is very high. Right? Likelihood and the impact is very high. Right. Right. So you need to pick the strategy, right? So if there's a risk has been given, so you need to pick the strategies from this using this star approach, right? So this is the what do you call it? This is the kind of a risk star framework risk mapping, right? Right. So when there is a risk is given in the examination, right? So you need to look at the impact and the likelihood of giving and say the probability. Right? Right. Impact and the likelihood. Sometimes the impact will be given the numerical value. Right. The exam will be the case study impact is here the overall company measure of profit of the company. 2 billion profitable company. Right. So they are going to start a new business in India. Right. So after starting this business, there are some sort of economic restrictions has been happening in India. And because of this, there will be 200,000 loss to this company. So you are a 2 billion profit making company. Right? So we are discussing about 200,000 loss. So then you need to look at whether this impact is high or low. It will be low. And the probability also kind of a low. Right? Because India is coming out very quickly. Right? India is the country that economy on that. Right? So after moving on, so we get extinction. So that is your start. So I will go with the same investment. I will take some actions to pump more money into the India to come up with that question. Like suggested strategies using the RRF in the examination. So therefore, this RRF is very important to remember. Remember, we are going to impact profile, impact low probability of low more sensitive. The Indian right? Impact is low and profit is low, we are accepting. impact එකක් අඩුයි profit එකක් අඩු නම් අපි accept කරනවා. impact එක හයි නම් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම profit එක low නම් අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ඔක transfer කරනවා. මොන කෙනෙක් කැමති ගන්න මොකද impact එක හයි වුණාට සිද්ධ වෙන සම්භාව්‍යතාවක් profit එක අඩුයි. හරි. ඒක නිකන් මම දැනගන්න නිකන් යාන්ත්‍රික ලොතරයි මට ලේවා. මෙන්න තවද මොකද impact එක හයි. හරි ඉතල පොඩි ගාන කම්බලෙන් ගාලිස්. අවුරු 200 කට වස්. Activity is very low. Profit is very low, but the impact is high. So we are transferring. Right. Impact is low and the profit is high. Right. So we can reduce. Right. And the impact is high and the profit is high. Both are high. We can terminate over. Right. 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 So enterprise exponential over time. Right. What do you mean by that? The enterprise exponential එක හදවත පස්සේ ආහාරය අපි කම්ප්ලීට් කරේ enterprise exponential එක දැද්දී. Right. ඒක is all. Right. Right. Can we wait and see? After that, no. It's continuous process. It's continue over time. Business faces new challenges all the time, so risk management is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. ERM should be integrated into the business for faster response to unexpected risks. Delaying the ERM as an annual project is not ideal due to needs for good decision making. Implementing ERM can be challenging if it is new to the organization. To successful implementation ERM, a risk-aware culture and proper training for the employee are crucial. Employees need motivation to implement and monitor the risk management plan. So every point is emphasizing that ERM is a ongoing process. Right. Right. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ERM එක අවුරුද්දකට පාරක් කරනවා කියලා ඒක කල්දාල් දීගොත් මේක not work. Right. This is an ongoing process. Right. එහෙනම් තමයි risk manager කෙනෙක් ඉන්නේ. risk officer කෙනෙක් ඉන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලොත් company එකක කියලා risk officer. Yeah. Right. risk officer තමයි company එකේ ඉන්න හරිම busy වෙක් කියලා. Right. එයා නිකන් doctor කෙනෙක් වගේ නෝ. surgeon කෙනෙක් වගේ නෝ. ඒ surgeon කෙනෙක් වගේ. surgeon කෙනෙක් ඇඳලා ඉඳාගෙන යනවා. Specialist. ඉන්ද යාගෙන ඉති කෝල් එකේ. Let it get the now, come on, related. On calling, likewise, risk officers. हमारे business में risk के अंदर cyber attack है, then negative लेकर आप फिर हमारे cyber attacks product का हमने इधर इस इधर ही तो cyber attack भी तो है वो दार और वो अपो week नहीं देखिए week मिस हो और करने गया एक पेज है एक weakness का पेज है अरे क्यों कर वो नहीं थी एक्टिव है तो दावा लोग क्या करेंगे ये है like cyber attacks also coming right the risk is coming mostly right that now उधर right level तो company के people right तो बार ये मिला एक बार कोई नहीं नहीं लड़े एक बार के लोग इधर गए सुनामी के लिए मिला 2017 सुनामी थी वो बाल बाल टांगे तो बोल बोली सुनामी लगे बोल बोली तो सुनामी राइट लगेगा नहीं तरह मतलब Yes. Likewise, right? So enterprise risk management is continue over time. So if you can't delay the risk management, right? So if it is new to a new organization, if you are going to have a new organization and you are going to implement the ERM, it's kind of challenging thing. Because you need to follow the process. We get at the process. So the final outcome is value to create. So then what करना है तो organization ने कहा अभी ये ERM ने suggest कर दिया कमाल बढ़ මොකද සමහරවිට අපිට විශ්සර පුළුවන් දේවල් තියෙනවා. ඒක දිගින් දිගට කරගෙන ආවම ඔකට ඇතුලේ ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා දැන් එන්වයරන්මන්ට් එක මොකක්ද කියලා. ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙච්ච ලොකු ටාස්ක් එකක් නෙවෙයි. ලොකු ටාස්ක් එකක් තමයි. එච්චරම නෑ අලුත් ඕගනයිසේෂන් එකක් තරම. ඒක ඔයගොල්ලෝ පරිවිලා කම්ප්ලයන්ස් ඔෆිසර් කෙනෙක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න දෙනවා කම්ප්ලයන්ස් ඔෆිසර් කෙනෙක් තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ලංකාවේ වැඩිපුරම සල්ලි ගන්න. සැලරි එක කියනවා. කම්ප්ලයන්ස් ඔෆිසර් සාමාන්‍ය මැනේජර් පොසිෂන්. CEO ට පස්සේ කම්ප්ලයන්ස් ඔෆිසර් කෙනෙක් තමයි ඒක කියනවා. මොකද යා මිලියම සීන් එකේ ඉන්නවා. සීන් එකේ ඉඳලා නැත්නම් නැති කම්පැනි එක නැති වෙනවා. Right. And also, employee need to motivate to implement and monitor the risk management plan. Right. Motivation should be there. එක activity එකක් තමයි employees ලා motivate කරන්න ඕනේ. එක follow කරන්න. අපි plan කරන්න මොකද කරන්නේ? motivate කරන්න. බා මෙන්න මේක කරොත් අප bonus එකක් දෙන්න. නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ profit එක මේකෙන් ඉඳලා වැඩි කරොත් අපි මේ වගේ දෙයක් කරනවා. So you need to motivate in financial and non-financial things. Right. Right. So now I'm coming to the classroom design. Right. After that, because like in the big class, right. Calling, right. So this is a classroom discussion. So I have a question. Actually, I didn't upload that question to the LMS purposely. Whole exam का दाढ़ Excel ये subject ये subject दाढ़ और पेपर का निकल गया दाढ़ So if you are requesting online sessions, request in this week. So then I can discuss. If you are requesting online sessions, then I will prepare the paper this week. Right? Then I will do some questions in that way too. Right. මේ question එක මම මීට දැන් මේ කරන්න මම academic page එක. කරපු ඩේවිඩ් බෙන්ට් එකේ question paper එකට දැම්මම ඔතේ. මේ වගේ මම classroom එකේ discuss කරා. හරි. Right. So classroom discussion number 1. Right. So there's a company, a cake company. Right. A well-established industrial bakery for nearly 50 years supplies cakes and confectionery items to the supermarket restaurant nationwide, with a presence in the neighboring countries as well. While prioritizing the long-term shareholder value, the company also considers all the stakeholder needs in its strategical plan. Recognizing the growing complexity of the existing risk and emergence of the new threats, the board of directors acknowledges the need for significant enhanced risk management program. To achieve this, they are considering a strategic investment in financial resources. The proposal involves appointing a risk manager who would report to the audit committee, currently comprised entirely of non-executive directors, mostly from outside the industry. This appointment signifies a shift towards more comprehensive and professional approach to the risk management across the entire organization. Before finalizing the decision, the audit committee seeks clarification on the concept of enterprise risk management and relevance to the company's success. Right? What they are going to do? So they are going to follow that plan. Right? Because I got strategic planning. Right? Right? While prioritizing the long-term shareholder wealth, that is our private objective. Company also consider all the stakeholders' needs, strategical plan. Again, company का value create करना था stakeholders. Right? All the shareholders, all the stakeholders. And then company also does, the board of directors acknowledge the need for significant enhanced risk management program. Right? The board of directors are applying a risk management program where they know that. Value creation program. Right? So therefore, recognize the growing complexity of existing risks. Right? And emergence of new threats. The board of directors acknowledge the needs of significant enhanced risk management program. To achieve this, they are considering a strategic investment in financial resources and the person. Right? Strategic investment in risk management. Right? Financially, person can involve. The proposal involves appointing a risk manager. Right now, they are going to appoint a risk manager who would report to the audit committee. So the risk manager is reporting to the audit committee. Right. So as I told you, it's a risk manager also kind of a the level in the CEO. CEO level like the management position. They are directly reporting to the audit committee. Right. Currently comprise entirely of non-executive directors. So when it comes to this audit committee, non-executive directors are there. That's all the directors are non-executive. Mostly from outside the industry. Right? Most of the directors are outside of the industry. This appointment signifies a shift towards more comprehensive and professional approach to risk management across the entire organization. Before finalizing the decision, so now they are going to finalize the decision as board members. The audit committee seeks clarification on concepts of enterprise risk management and its relevance to the risk company success. Right. So what we need to do, you need to advise. Right? Not if you are going to explain or elaborate or something like that. What you have to do, you need to advise. But me, what's another thing? Explain you need to explain the theory. Right? Advice using the theory. Right? You need to give some advice. This is what you have to do. Make a explain the explain the theory. There is an explanation. Theory stakeholder theory. Stakeholder theory can what? Advice. Stakeholder theory we use the so you need to provide the advice by using the theories. Right. So advise the CFO. So you are going to advise the CFO of 3 key benefits and 3 key drawbacks of introducing enterprise risk management to the company. Right. By looking at the context of this company, by looking at the business of this company, what you will do? You will advise the CFO about the benefits and the drawback of enterprise risk management. That make advice the right. Samameter, Google answer the benefits to them. That was also correct. You can just the drawbacks layer the mother drawbacks, we are not ER ER Hodana drawbacks. First, the okay. Then, already over interview interview is not where I do some. What I do without you know, where the one of us so as people, one maybe good. What they get what they have like that. You know, do that. You are going very right. Otherwise, you will die over deep doesn't know again. But I shall get it. One, ready, whether they go on with the right. Yeah, we joke here that. मम्मी क्या कर रहा है? ठीक है। हाँ हाँ can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can hear. Yeah.
So why you are laughing?
ना वैटियम वैटिंग करने का तो मैं वीकनेस एक क्यों देख रहा
हाँ right right मगर तो वेले ऊपर नहीं था right right सामने इंटरव्यू किया वीकनेस था right वीकनेस था ये वो लगा तो वो क्या था वीकनेस ले तो वो रैशनल वीकनेस ये वेरी वेरी करने का हमारी वीकनेस है तो देखो आगे नहीं बड़ी के बोला तो वो वेरी को वेरी करके आपने इनको लगा था वेरी को करके इनको तो तब भी पता बाकी क्यों करो वेतन वाला कुछ लिया थी right जब इकने में डरना है नहीं करना था यार ऐसे परिश्रम का विषय में डरना है तो जितने बेनिफिट्स भी ड्रॉबैक्स भी हम लोग बेनिफिट्स भी ड्रॉबैक्स लिया थे अपने मतलब किया अगर देखो होता है कि मैंने लिया नहीं पा ड्रॉबैक्स लिया बेनिफिट्स देखा लिया ड्रॉबैक्स पांच भी लिया होते रहेंगे मेरे को मुझे तो करंट है मेरे को बेहतर हाईलाइट करता हूँ मैं यार प्रोग्राम में कितनी इंपॉर्टेंट है मेरे को हमारी पहले का मेरे को नहीं लो अबे वो एडवाइस कर दिया लो यार में सदभाव में करते वो बस है so when you are advising to the CFO so I'm requesting 3 key benefits and 3 key drawbacks of introducing enterprise risk management to this company right so when you are highlighting this you need to write actually when some drawbacks also you need to highlight some indirect benefits right all right let's discuss okay when we are discussing answer one example is that I told so you have to write this first then we discuss that's how we done it right then considering this company operates in the food industry what specific type of risk might the ERM help them to identify and mitigate what kind of risk they can face beyond the audit company oversights, how can ERM effectively integrated into the company's culture in this company to ensure the successful implementation? Right. The they don't, right? Very easy. Right. The only thought of it, I got the way. No wonder they were having a leak. They were having right? Any kind so here what beyond the audit committee oversight, we know the audit committee is oversight. What we are doing, how can ERM be effectively integrated into company's culture and this company to ensure the successful implementation? What I'm asking what the course of it. Right. Right. Audit committee oversight करना नाम करना अभी risk management framework की कर हरी implement करके तो right clear right right so try to write answers try to ask you to present because there are only limited number of students so we can do this. So just write some answers in point 4. The same question I have moved into the exam paper. I think last year. Right.
Eso dale.
Right. So what are the benefits? As I benefits. What are the benefits? Yeah, the benefits. So that's
If you're mentally critical,
it.
can also calculate for the
Okay.
decision available of better.
On the decision again. Benefits. Clarification. Just follow the page. Right, what are the things? So one of the key benefits when it comes to this business, right? When I writing the answer is related to this business, right? One is it has the confidence of the stakeholders, right? People is management and financial factor. So the risk management framework can enterprise framework can confidence level stakeholders, right? And also it is help to the long-term success of the business, or the value creation of the business. And more importantly, because of the ERS frame, we can show the responsibilities of the person involved. For example, for the water creators, what is their risk responsibility? For the audit company, what is their risk responsibility? For the risk manager, what is their responsibility? For the employees, what is their responsibility? Right? And promote the risk awareness culture. Because of the ERF, you can promote the risk aware culture. And also, when you are making the potential decisions, futuristic decisions, right, you can take good decisions. And also, if there is a risk is coming, potential risk is coming up, so you can take the proactive actions. Right. It helps to take proactive actions. Right. So those are the benefits. And what are the drawbacks? What are the drawbacks? Yes. Drawbacks. What are the drawbacks?
Complex process.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what are the drawbacks?
We can say like it is a complex process, one thing, and employee resistance in adapting implementation of this one, and also a high cost of implementation.
Okay. Yes, what are the drawbacks? That's a drawback. So when it comes to this drawback, one is we have what? Just if you are going to implement the ERM system, it will costly, right? But what we need to do? We need to do the cost benefit analysis. Right. Cost benefit analysis and see whether implementing the ERM will make more benefits. That is. Right. So most probably it will create more benefits. That is possible. So one drawback is if you are going to implement the ERM system for the new organization, it will be costly. Right. It's a drawback. What we need to do? We need to do the cost benefit analysis and see whether actually this is costly or not. Right. Whether the benefit is higher than the cost. The next one, we are looking at this case study. Case study we have already මේක පොස්තුමත් මේ කම්පැනි එක well established company එකක්. හරි. ඒතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝගේ major concern එක තමයි මේ risk එක. cost එක තමයි benefit ඒකට වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. drawback එක තමයි costly, but we need to do the cost benefit analysis. Next one is what? Who is the party relieving this risk thing? By the audit committee, who is appointing as entirely of non-executive directors, and also they are highlighting mostly from outside the industry. Right? But then there will be kind of knowledge here. There will be knowledge here. That is a drawback. Right? Because audit committee is going to be the work of resources, but they don't know about the organization, or they don't know about the industry. Right? That's a drawback. Right? That's a drawback. So having this here, what we can do today? We can have now non-executive directors of the audit committee from the industry. Right? Industry. Right? Clear? Yes. Any other problem? Like that. The next one is where you are going to do a change. There are some current and go in farmers. This is the only one available. Come with the right. They are nothing. All of them like it now. Maybe they know. Routine के दिन होते हैं काम करा दिन में रहता है आप देखा दिन में तो हो रही हम नहीं करें दिन देखा मिल जाएगा दिन में रहता है नहीं करें routine के अंदर तो देखा है गार्ड है इधर पास से कहीं बोल रहा है मरीज के बिलाल बोला है इधर पास से कहीं नहीं मरीज के बिलाल को मैंने ये बिलाल ही और मैं तो फिर तभी ना दिखा फिर अगर तुम मुझसे मैंने ये बाई हो इन बातों को ना यूज़ करो यार रास्ते में क्या मिल इसके प्रति रहना है रास्ते so here is one of the government change that they are going to do for this organization. So employee can be sometimes they resist against this change. Right. So kind of drawback. How we can manage that risk? Right. We need to survey employees and we can motivate to involve in this risk management process. Because we need to highlight that if you are only involved with this management process, only we can create some value for the organization through creating that value. And employees also getting some benefits from the organization. Like organization they go to the end, employees know that they can pay for this. So those are problems. Those are drawbacks you can have. Like what drawbacks here, the ER and the other drawbacks here. ER framework, implement करना निशा होगा कि drawbacks होती है. Right. होना वाके challenges का भी नहीं. तो ये अब वो अभी mitigate कराने के लिए तो ना बोल दिया because they ask me to advice. Right. तो ये तो क्या मैं उतने लिया था ना. Right. ER framework का implement करना होने की पता नहीं था. Companies. The drawbacks are not all solutions here. Advice. For this, you know, how to play the non-executive directors are in the checking out. That's not knowledgeable non-executive directors are. Put it together. Right. Clear. Cost benefit analysis. Right. Make it a cost benefit benefit. Okay. So those are solutions. Right. So consider this company is working in a food industry. What specific type of risk might ER help them to identify and mitigate? What kind of risk they can identify from the ER? Basically, food industry taking some
compliance.
Get compliance. Yeah, how?
If you have a case study, but put up control that import appear put some under the it or year but they put a
Very good.
certifications.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Nice answer. Right. Oh, good. Very good.
Yes.
Right. Can cover comments, please. You can say regulations. Yeah. Yes. Operations. Supply chain disruptions can be bakery media and then obvious, right? So what I'm asking here, I'm asking the entity level is basically. So we have discussed all these entity levels. Yes, the other thing. Based on the compliance, the safety risk also there, right? So you need to maintain the proper standards, right? Expired date is not known, right? Political maintenance cannot know. Ingredients are known. Safety and also yes. Any others? What are the reasons? Yes. Strategic risk is there. What is the strategy?
Taking the country තමයි ඔකේ non executive නම් ඒකට පොලිසිය ඕරම කරලා ඉවරක් non executive වෙන්න තුන
Regularly. You can take like that. What I strategic risk is right? Like when you are looking at this company, you can see they are having a different sort of diversification. Supermarkets, and also they are having the restaurant, and also they are having some business in worldwide, right? So that's the kind of strategic decisions they have made, right? So sometimes there might be some risk may be arise because of these strategic decisions. You can't say all the audit companies are non-executive, they are more than it does also non-executive. Or the audit company will take like no. Board take another name. Audit company is not executive. The majority take a board take another executive. Achieve correct. You can't achieve. Numbers okay. Out of 10, 8 are non-executive. They go. Don't achieve.
सामान्य बिजनेस से इंटरनल कंट्रोल इंटरनल कंट्रोल का इम्प्लीमेंट कर फिर स्टोर काटती है अनएक्सेक्यूटिव काटती है ना अलग इंडस्ट्री के लिए दांडी नत्ता यार बहुत है दीपावली के एक सामान में इंटरनल कंट्रोल से यार बहुत टेस्ट का देखो उसकी नहीं है यस
Yes, that's correct. We can write like because audit companies providing some guidelines to the internal. So if they don't know about the industry, so how they are going to fail in the internal? There's a kind of strategic risk. That's correct. So likewise, we need to pick the risk from this one. Right. All right. So the third one, beyond the audit company oversights, how can ERM be effectively integrated into company's culture? Ensure successful implementations. Okay. Audit company oversights again now. PRL system එක implement කරන්න යන්නේ. කොහොමද මේක හරියට කරන්නේ? successful කරන්නේ. Yes. Already මොකක්ද කරන්නේ PRL? We need to create a culture for governance structure. There's a must be to implement the PRL in the proper way to the government. Right. And also we need to align the PRL framework with the government strategic objectives. Right. Then, when it comes to the implementation part, what we can do? We can motivate, or we can train the individuals, or we can train the employees to the risk management. Right. And also, when it comes to report, we have to aware both the internal and external parties. Right. We need to report. We are framework. And also, we have to monitoring and the repeating mechanism. Right? Monitoring and repeating mechanism. Right? Right? Clear? The point sort of earlier. Here, right? Here. Right? The process of the other over there and right? So the other over because I don't get there. Well, you take other go it is a paper like that, paper. Whoever down there, you are to take another house. You can only get it. Process they open the way. But the other guys, and you are the question like how the you take. So, you also they know what structure they have tried everything. The point they have they open. Inside, paper account from private for process. Process have the body there. Physical account from they have the directly now. What are the benefits? How do we incorporate the course of framework to the risk management process? How do we ask like that? So I know practical question. Overall, වැඩ කරලා නැති. right. මොකක් හරි වැඩ කරලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් ආවා පස්සේ ඕගොල්ලෝ ගහන්නේ ඒජන්සි තියේකට අනුව කොහොමද ඒකට උත්තර දෙන්නේ? ඒක ඔයාලා දැනගන්න ඕනේ මේකට එන්නේ ඒජන්සි තියේදී. ඒජන්සි තියේක මෙන්න මේක කියලා දෙනවා. ඒ ප්‍රශ්න උත්තර දෙන්න උත්තරේ මේක. දැන් මේගොල්ලෝ දැන් ඔයා හිතන්න ඔයා තමයි එතන ඉන්න finance දාන්නේ කියලා. accounting දාන්නේ කියලා. management දාන්නේ. ඔයාගේ කරනවා මේක කරන්න කොහොමදයි? මේක කරන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒවා ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකේ පොතේ ආව විතරක් කියලා හරියන්නේ. මම කියනවා කොහොමද අපේ චැලෙන්ජස් ඩ්‍රෝබැක්ස් තියෙනවා. මේ ඩ්‍රෝබැක්ස් අපි කවර් කරගෙන ඊට වඩා මේක ඉයරකට ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරන්න එක හොඳයි. මේ මේකේ ඩ්‍රෝබැක්ස් අපිට තියෙනවා. මේකේ බෙනිෆිට්ස් අපිට තියෙනවා. ඒකෝ කියන ඔඩිට් කමිටි එක ඕවර්සයිට් කරනවා රිස්ක් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ප්‍රොසෙස් එක. ඊට අමතරව මේක ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරන්න තව මොනවද බලමු. ඊළඟට කම්පැනි එක ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරද්දී අපි ඔඩිට් කමිටි එක විතරක් දෙකලා හැදෙනවා. ඔඩිට් කමිටි එක විතරක් මේක උඩි බගොත් හරිද? ඊළඟට ඕකේ ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ටේෂන්. අපි කියන්න එහෙම බෑ. අපිට තියෙනවා ජාවා ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එකක් අපිට කල්චර් එක ක්‍රියේට් කරන්න ඕනේ. හරි. අපි මේක ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරන්නේ ඒක ට්‍රේනින් එකක් තියෙනවා. අපි ඊළඟ මේක ඩිසයින් කරලා යම් වෙලෙක අපි ස්ට්‍රැටජික් ඔබ්ජෙක්ටිව්ස් වලට ලයික් අපි මේක කරවල කියනකොට මේ වගේ දැන් තමයි ලංකන් බෑනේ පොස් මේක හැමෙලෙම රිගුලට් මොකටද කරන්නේ හොඳයි මේක ඔර්ගොල් මොනස් එකක් මේක තමයි සක්සස්ෆුලි ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරන්න යාර right clear right. So I'm going to the next tip. Is it okay? Without a break? Now, the other okay. Then they can do that. What next? How is it? Any questions? Online people, Farah, any questions? No? All good? Nothing. No questions? All good. Right. For the next unit, I will only take few minutes. Right. So types of risks. Actually, we have discussed these things. Right. Working kind of a detailed manner. I will just go through this. So basically, we are having different types of risk, right? Upside risk and downside risk. Basically, we have discussed external and internal risk, as well as strategic and operational risk. So both of these we can call it as business risk, right? So when we are coming to the importance of analyzing the risk, right? Analyzing the risk helps categorize them as the beneficial opportunities or threats to the organization, right?
So can you share this screen?
Sorry. Sorry guys.
Okay, sir.
Can you see now? Right. I have a risk analyze. What are the importance? Right. Analyze the risk help to categorize them as beneficial and threats to the organization. Right. After threats to benefits level identify. हमें अभी risk analyze करना. Internal versus external risk का further analyze to determine their origin. Internally or external. Right. And strategical and operational other analysis focus on risk impact. Strategic goal operation. रिस्क एनालाइज करने के වැදගත් කම තමයි අපිට මෙන්න මේ 3 areas වලින් අපිට risk එක ගැන බලන්න පුළුවන්. එකක් තමයි කම්පැනි එකට තියෙන risk එක නිසා ඇතිවෙන opportunities මොනවද? risk එක නිසා ඇතිවෙන threats මොනවද? Right. So through the upside risk we are identifying the what? We are identifying the opportunities. Through the downside risk we are identifying the threats. Right. Then the next categorization is the origin, external or internal. Where the risk is generated, whether the risk is generating external way or the internal way. And the impact, right? Because of this risk, it will impact to the strategic or the operational aspects of the business, right? Right. So this approach ensures the comprehensive understanding of risk, minimizing the chance of overlooking crucial threats. Analyzing risk from various perspectives significantly improve risk identification and management effectiveness. දැන් එකක් තමයි risk එක identify කරගත්තේ අපිට වෙන වැරද්දක් තමයි business වල. හරි. මොකක්ද? අපිට වැරද්ද නැතිව බලන්න. exam එකට දුවන්න. හරි. exam එකට අදාළ නැතිව ඔක්කොම බලාගෙන යනවා. මේ මහන්න වෙලේ. right. exam එකට නැතිව ඔක්කොම දේවල් බලාගෙන යනවා. මහන්න වෙලේ. So then what will happen? It will create risk. Right. So if you are having a kind of a comprehensive understanding of the risk, it will minimize the chance of overlooking the crucial threats. Right. Analyzing risk from various perspectives significantly improve the risk identification and management effectiveness. Right. The risk management here also very important. Right. Another crucial. Right. Somebody does in that. Other than what we focus on, equal some effective video. Efficient and effectiveness is needed. Risk का हरी identify करेगा तो equal identify करेगा तो हरी risk का identify करेगा तो equal identify करेगा. अभी पहले तो risk का वैल्यू दिला होता, तथा risk का भी identify करेगा नहीं. Right. It will be a risk. Right. That is why we are analyzing the risk. Right. So downside risk. Downside risk are defined as threats to the success and can affect the organization adversely. Downside risk. Examples of downside risk at a manufacturing company may include the following: problems at the company's factory, loss of a major customer, staff problems, a competitor arriving with the competitive advantage. Some downside risk is easier to predict than others, but overseas organizations tend to see and spend more time focused on the downside risk rather than the upside risk. What's that mean? Because again, easier to predict. Right. By organization tend to see and spend more time focused on downside risk rather than the upside risk. මොකද ඕගොල්ලෝ හිතන්නේ අපි වැඩිපුර අවධානය යොමු කරන්න ඕනේ අප්සයිඩ් රිස්ක් එකට ඩවුන්සයිඩ් රිස්ක්. Actually, both. Yes. If you are an organization or let's say you are a owner of a company, what is your major focus? Upside risk or the downside risk? If I tell you to tell you, it perceives the good word to. Yes. Downside risk. Why? We are only approach the threats. So that will decide by your risk. Well, I'm like everything I'm on the way. Right. Hey, someone is around here. Someone is around here. Why the company? Why am I empty? Risk adding. You are a risk taker. Right there. What is your main focus? Definitely the upside risk. You are not considering about the upside risk. Because through the upside risk, you are trying to get opportunities. Because you are a risk taker. Right? You are a risk taker. Then, if you are a risk averse, well, you are going to take risk. Thank you. Well, so you are more focused on the downside risk. Main line is not valid. It's like a right. Next, you are more focused on the downside risk. Downside. That is how you will answer. Depending on the answer. Yes, the answer is dependent. You need to elaborate. Outside risk, outside risk. Some downside risk is easier to grasp. Right. Right. Then upside risks are defined as events that constitute opportunities for the benefits. Right. These are the good things that can happen to the organization. Some upside risks are outside of the control of the organization. Although the upside risks don't get considered as much as the obvious downside risks. Spending time on this can make an organization more successful over time. Why spending time on this can make an organization more successful over time? What's the reason for that? I value of the upside risk success in the general acceptable principle. If you are taking more risk, you are getting more return. Right? Risk taking opportunities create success. Risk unfavorable thing. Taking up favorable things opportunities create success. ඒක අපි මේකේ වැඩිපුර කාලයක් ගත කරොත් අපේ සක්සස්ෆුල් රේට් එක වැඩි වෙනවා. right? උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ඔය ටියුෂන් ක්ලාස් එකක් කරලා. go to start a tuition class. At the first day, I'm only having one student. So what I have this build. So what you want to do the promotional campaign and the view and also for the whole. At the first meeting. Right. So there is a risk. The student are not coming to my classes. Yes. The next day, what I can do? If I am following the downside risk, what I can do? I can stop the class. Downside risk. Risk එකක් තියෙනවා unfavorable වෙලා ඉන්න. ළමයි එන්නේ. මොකක්ද කරන්න පුළුවන්? Downside risk එක නෑ class. So if I am looking at upside risk, yes, there's a risk. But I'm taking the risk. I try to create opportunities to do this. So day by day, from taking the risk, I will be successful. Overall opportunities create करने काम लोगों को successful. जो time में spend करने पर बहुत क्या लाभ है? बड़ा बहुत ज़्यादा क्या होता है? वहाँ भी online तो ये वही ना तो online. जैसे बात ट्यूट करता है लाभ यहाँ से वाला जो क्लास ले जाती होता है चांगू भी voice over class YouTube video क्या चल क्या तो मैं ये YouTube पे रिकॉर्ड करने हैं एक मार्केट स्ट्रैटेजी का वीडियो में ये करेगा अंदर ट्यूशन मार्केट क्या तो मतलब वेरी फ्री इधर क्या तो मैं प्रिफरेंस के तो मैं यूज करता पूरा बात को ट्यूशन सामने लोग यहाँ पर तो market, you take a market. And they right. So if you are looking at if I spend more time on the upside risk, the successful rate is higher. Right? Because then make a time that expect करना के लिए make it a balance नहीं you need to create what opportunities. Upside risk का amount risk देखेंगे नहीं और risk के करना के लिए हमें risk का नहीं देंगे risk के opportunity create करना. But time is spent on negative, right? To create the opportunity. You know, to create the opportunity and spending more time on that, then definitely you go nowhere. Right? What you have to do is you have to spend time and create opportunities. Right? And some outside this, outside of the control of the organization. What that means? Some are this company ki control के थोड़ा outside this. One of the examples. What are the examples? Like what? Concession rates, tax reductions. So how it's become a risk to you? Government is reducing tax. Government tax reduce when they go to that. Risk gathering.
It is not something for सामान्य पूरा सेटअप Toyota company along with taxi cost ये सूर्य आते हैं सलीमान बैठे हैं आप एक काम करना है ना होगी पूरी काम की बात नॉर्मल टैक्स गाड़ी करो नॉर्मल टैक्स गाड़ी करना मतलब जिसमें ये आते हैं ना अमाउंट सैलरी का ना बैठी है यानी कि उन्हें टैक्स गाड़ी ना यानी जाते हैं ना स्पेंडिंग अमाउंट है बैठी itu udah ada choice juga apa produk ini itu ada produk untuk grup dekat yang punya sekitarnya sali ready ini bisa yang apa produk dekat dalam oke beauty brand kan itu ada logo brand di sana tuh like boy yang ada lah sekitar
yes correct tapi organization yang sudah itu api orang luxury item ini Tapi update ini craft the basic api tax rate का बढ़ी Lanka Lanka project සාමාන්‍ය ජීවිතේම කාලයක් වගේ නේද? ඒතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ ලක්ෂයකට ගන්න නැහැ. ඒ වගේට ගන්නවා. tax rate එක අනුව ගමු. ඒගොල්ලන්ට expect කරන්න පුළුවන් මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? What is that income?
Possibly.
Disposable income. Disposable income will be high. Right. So they are purchasing of goods. That is the indirect way. But based on the price, tax rate, reducing tax rate is a kind of benefits. So what you can do is, like, sometimes you are having tax holidays. Sometimes you are having transfer pricing benefits. Right. So those are some outside these benefits. Transfer pricing you can do. Right. So I'm not going to discuss about transfer pricing. Transfer pricing, I think. I'm going to look at within the එකම පවුලෙන් අපි දෙන්න එකම ෂර්ට් එක මාරු කරලා දෙන්න. right දාන්න කිව්වේ ඇයි ඉස්සර ගොඩ කියනවා මම බලන්න දෙනවා like this. And upside risks are defined as events that constitute opportunities for the benefits. These are those things that happen in the organization. Same thing, right? Examples for the upside risk: unexpected increase in demand, right? Cost reduction opportunities, like say, favorable market fluctuations like tax and the interest rate fluctuations can be for the construction companies. But we can have this: if the interest rate is goes high, what will happen? Goes down high, what will happen to construction companies? People are not going to get loans. They are depositing their money. If the interest rate goes low, they will create some opportunities to the construction companies. Because they can take, people are taking loans and they are focusing on the construction projects. Right. Then restructuring also, now Sri Lanka is experiencing, right? They are again because of this. That Lanka is right. Because of this, they restructuring and the IMF. Right. And increase efficiency. Right. Efficiency, the efficiency is increased, it creates some upsides. Right. Right. So this is one of the diagram that will elaborate that what the risk category we need to focus on. Right. Probability that the outcome of the event is unexpected. The outside risk is looking at the adverse outcome, and the upside risk is looking at the favorable outcome. Both the risk elements should be considered. This can be referred to as two way of speculative view risk. That means when you are looking at the downside risk and the upside risk based on your risk appetite, right? Based on your risk appetite, you need to look at the both the risk. Right. Right. Dekho බලන්න. දැන් ඔයාලගේ risk take කියලා කෙනෙක් කියලා හැබැයි ඔයා වැඩිපුර බලන්න upside risk එක තමයි. හැබැයි ඔයා downside risk අවශ්‍ය කරන්නේ. Right. You need to look at that as well. Trades බලන්න. දැන් risk take කෙනෙක් කියලා upside risk එක විතරක් බලන්න ඉඳලා බෑ. Downside risk එක බලන්න හැබැයි more focus එක තියෙන්නේ upside risk. Right. Clear? Right. So there is a question for the classroom discussion. I'm going to discuss that. They will come up with classroom discussion. Internal and external risk, right? To discover the risks that are facing an organization internally, it is necessary to break an organization down into the various activities performed. These activities differ depending on the following: the type of business it is in, where the business is in the supply chain, the size of the business. Right? Right. And the internal and external risks. So these are the areas: purchasing, human resource, operational, distribution, marketing, after sales services. In every aspect, we generate the internal and the external risks. Right. Right. So the strategic and operational risks we have discussed. So largely, just a day. Right. Right. Any questions? So actually, yeah, not that in the risk management, right? Some parts are there, but I have uploaded the documents to the LLM. And also I have uploaded sample report to the PPT. Right? Don't copy paste the same thing. Same what you call content should be not there in your report as well. What you have to do is just review it, get some understanding. And they have done. They go to one and the company. The PPT has been spoken about the structure. So your presentation should be limited to 15 minutes. So within that 15 minutes, I will stop definitely. Right? If you are having 5 papers, let's say for an example, after 15 minutes, only 4 papers presented. 1 paper left. So what will happen is I will allocate marks for only 4 papers. That 1 paper is not presented will not get marks for the presentation. Therefore, you need to manage your time because we are having the limited time. Within this 15 minutes, if you have 5 members, you will allocate 3 minutes, 4. And also the presentation slides. It doesn't matter you are including 50 slides or 60 slides. You can present it within 15 minutes. Okay, slides now, slide here for the given. You can depend on present करो स्पीड है तब सामान्य मनुष्य तो विनाडी खाता करना प्रो अदर ये अदर हंसी बोले हुआ है नहीं मनुष्य विनाडी तो अदर हंसी बोलना खाता करना प्रो ये तो लोग स्क्रिप्ट के लिए अगर थी और ना ये कभी कभी खाता करने प्रो ना विनाडी तो अदर के वो दिलास नहीं बोलने खाता करना वो अदर दिलास नहीं बोलने का presentation Pada dalam lazim mengajar itu, ya, jika mereka masih ada di kamar, 1.5 mandi jadi so, itu paham tak? Sudah deh, tahu desi ko, sudah lebih tu negara lagi yang nak, terus mereka buat lagi. Right? Ada, or any questions? Yeah, that is the operation office. Right, course of operator for the operational aspects. So I will ask from Sachinika whether I can upload the recording for that. Manhal वाला का बोल दिया है का बोल रिपोर्ट में होगा अपलोड करना है रिपोर्ट अपलोड करो तो होगा एग्जाम करें इधर कभी All right, any questions? No questions.
Company, send company get up to no nanny.
Yeah, but then I want to figure out what time here. Sending is the other, sending the guy. The company is like the company will be losing the share. Right, any questions? Yes, before winding up.
10 marks, 10
marks for the sorry, 15 marks altogether, yeah. Altogether 50 marks for the assignment. So 15 marks for the report. Sorry, 10 marks for the report and 20 marks for presentation.
Presentation cannot be taken. Put it out presentation cannot be the marks they will presentation content.
Group where mark yeah. I manage to do the present content negative. Because our complex outlet track and negative marks. One then our guidelines again. So they guidelines of the marks. आप present करा जो मेरे को इतना गेम बड़े हरियाणा हो गए हर कोई आगा ये मैं और उसने क्या कितना इनको पूर्व क्या कितना यार पूर्व क्या भाई बहुत पेपर के तो रसिया था presentation mereka presentation yang detail lah kalau presentation ini question yang ada. एक क्वेश्चन है ना आपको मतलब क्वेश्चन है ये बहुत क्वेश्चन एक सब कंट्रोल करने वो देखते हैं ठीक है ये टाइम में
පාලකට කලින් ඉවර කරපු ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. විනාඩි 15කට කලින් ඉවර කරන්න ඕනේ.
गाड़ी बाइक में काम फर्स्ट टाइम ये टाइप पर शुरू करना टाइप पर के लिए पानी का मिलावट अरे so if you are having any issues you can come to the board meeting okay or you can drop me an email right. And for the paper discussion possible we can arrange a time session for the paper discussion. Right. The higher power. And the content user. Content user to follow the take it over elections like the elections will be done. Graph masalah Ini bagus dari lo. Latest ke zaman sih, I know. Latest ke zaman sih, latest ke datang proses. Company ke latest pun ada dulu. No issues. All good. Alright, so. कैसे लिंक करा दो हो कैसे ये पॉइंट्स करना नहीं कैसे की लड़ाई है बस पूरी लड़ाई अरे के पेपर के स्ट्रक्चर के कभी जरा नहीं कैसे के प्रोसेस आता है मालूम है दाएं इसे बस तो इस सेकंड तो ये बात बस माय क्वेश्चन है और फिर ये माय क्वेश्चन है तो ये बात बस Questions? एक मत क्यों? पानी क्यों नहीं पानी डालते? Corporate governance वाली question? एक question. इसका एक्सपर्ट वाली लेगा ही, ये फिक्स नहीं का है. हाई मार्क है. पूरा कलर है. ओके पूरे कलर है. All right, thank you very much. All the best.
Padahal pura kasih ada beri. Kalau last kita ada lecture kan. Ini off the camera. Orang kita kan, ini majority kau kita kau tahu lah. Atau mungkin